Welcome back. I'm Crystal Johnson with the Gaia Report. Have you heard about lab-grown meat? It is a sustainable and ethical solution to the industrialized meat industry. Ecovative, the startup that makes biodegradable packaging for furniture seller IKEA, says that the same mushroom roots it uses to pack could be used to create the next generation of delicious lab-grown meats. So the co-founder, Eben Bayer, says that this is the next natural step in this evolution to use natural products to make things. The problem Ecovative wants to solve is that while many lab-grown meat startups have succeeded in growing individual cells from livestock into sausages and burgers, they struggle to create the complex anatomy of the chicken breast or a fatty steak. So that's where Bayer thinks his company's mycelium, or mushroom roots, could actually help. Using a formula similar to the mixture of the mycelium and discarded farm waste that it already turns into green packaging for IKEA as well as Dell, he says that the Ecovative has created a scaffolding structure that lets meat cells grow into ropes of muscles and layers of fat, and that is a great secret. The carbon emission of farm-grown meat is incredibly high, as well as the land, water, and other resources it utilizes. So a tasty lab-grown meat with a low carbon footprint could actually be a game changer, not just for your dinner plate, but for the future of the planet, the environment. While companies are popping up and betting on lab-grown meat, the main issue is how to get you to eat it. Lab-grown meat sounds like a great idea, but some people might be overwhelmed by the ick factor, which is actually ironic because if the details of how an animal is actually raised and processed or slaughtered is horrifying, and that is the real ick factor. But there is a company called Wild Earth, and they want to feed your dog food made of non-animal protein grown in a lab. Wild Earth is part of a growing wave of companies that recognizes that lab-grown protein is the future of food. Meat consumption is both environmentally hazardous and ethically very hard to understand. So there are people, thankfully, working to find a sustainable solution. A lot of people, really. So much so that a future rife with lab-grown meat will be a reality. But there's a significant factor that these companies seem to not have yet considered. How will companies get the average American accustomed to this concept? It is believed that people will get used to clean meat in a hurry if it tastes right, if it smells right. But think about the last time you bit into something that was comprised of a consistency different than what you expected. Even if it tasted amazing, your brain was probably responding in a wave of nausea that made it almost impossible for you to keep eating. So one culinary scientist actually calls this feeling the uncanny valley of meat, or with any food in general. And it's when you have something that's a highly sophisticated imitation, but it's not quite there, but it's close. It forces your brain into a very small window of context. That's because evolution has hardwired our brain to make food seem incredibly repulsive if it might sicken or kill us. So as a result, if a food doesn't fit our expectation of what it's supposed to feel or taste like in our mouths, our brains involuntarily reject it. We are just hardwired for such. Unfortunately, because our brains are so sophisticated, these nits can not only affect our sensory experience of food, they can also come from ideas that we have of food. Like an idea saying, just as someone told you that that delicious chocolate cupcake that you enjoyed had actually been made out of, say, a cow intestine, which for most of us would make it suddenly disgusting regardless of its taste. And that is how that our brain affects us. So this is a huge problem for an industry that's already invested billions of dollars into the concept. And with such a barrier, a big one would think that lab-grown meat companies would have some sort of plan in place to ease people in it. Yet few seem to have any idea how they're actually going to get us to eat it. But Wild Earth, meanwhile, is taking a unique approach. This company believes that overcoming people's innate discomfort with lab-grown proteins, because lab-grown does sound awkward, starts by feeding it to man's best friend, So Wild Earth is making animal-free dog food out of protein that comes from koji, the fungus that Japanese cooks have used for centuries to produce soy sauce, miso, and sake. Fed by just water and sugar, the koji's protein byproducts are strained into a thick paste that can be baked into kibble. According to Neolife reporter Grace Rubenstein, the kojo kibble tastes dense, crunchy, and earthy, like it tastes like a dark rye cracker. So this kibble hit the market in late 2018 with an initial price of over $20 for 5 pounds, though the company plans to bring the price down. But more importantly, they want to win customers by showing that if your dog, Fido, is in better shape because he's gone veggie, Wild Earth's founders hope to eventually prove that its meat-free canine consumers will have lower rates of cardiovascular disease and cancer associated with eating meat. After that, the next step will be to cultivate lab-grown mouse meat to make into cat food. And Wild Earth's founders say getting people accustomed to the concept as they watch their pets lap it up happily is somewhat of a Trojan horse to introduce lab-grown meat for humans. So Wild Earth's premise seems to ride on the idea that just by being around lab-grown pet food, watching it benefit their pets' health, that humans will be willing to make the jump into eating lab-grown meat. So there seems to be 2 types of lab-grown meat, where it can be a veggie-based as well as an animal-based grown from cells, which is still ethical than having to go through the typical industrial meat process model. So be open to lab-grown meat. And on behalf of Mother Nature, thank you to all the innovators out there looking for sustainable solutions and driving impact. The 4th annual Brookline Youth Climate Adaptation Challenge is going to be held on Saturday, April 6th at the Pierce School Cafeteria. For more information, stay tuned. At the end of the show, we will be showing a flyer. You can also email crystalgaiareport@gmail.com for more information. Kindergarten through 12th graders are invited to participate in this unique art and environmental science fair. It's been a huge success. It is a town-wide environmental and art science fair, and it's geared towards allowing your youth to think big. They can present an eco-art project, and that can be anything from a spoken word to a poetry to a song to an art piece. We've had individuals create a beautiful piece by saxophone regarding autumn, as well as on a guitar regarding a sustainable cycle. And so there's so many creative approaches that have been presented. The other theme that is part of the 4th annual Brookline Youth Climate Adaptation Challenge is one regarding an eco-Brookline or an eco-town. And for this one, we're excited to have people work in teams, and people have already started to register. What we mean is that you can have a team, whether it could be 2 people or even 1, or several people working together to design a town, and that can be a model, a drawing, or any way that you want to depict Brookline or an equivalent town, and account for sustainable transportation, sustainable energy, what happens in water, and our waste, and what's with housing, and any type of environmental issue that all towns have to deal with. And we're really excited for how that provides creative and technical thinking for all the youth involved. For all participants, they will receive a Climate Adaptation Scientist Certificate, be eligible to receive a citation from the Massachusetts State House of Representatives, as well as receive usually a gift card or some prize that we have. So again, for more information, please contact me at crystalgaiareport@gmail.com. Information will be available at the end of the show. And if you're not able to participate, please come by and support all the youth. We always have a full house of creative projects, and we look forward to having your support. On behalf of Mother Nature, thank you.